thought it was going to be somewhere we had to wait. I thought you told me before.
I had turned it off.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I should have mentioned that.
I was waiting because I didn't want to be like, yes! And like part of it, yeah.
It got cut off last time and I didn't think about it. And so
I'm just sitting there looking at the thing like, is it going to happen? Anyway, because for some reason in my mind, it was supposed to turn blue.
Oh, no.
So I'm sitting here waiting for the red to go away. Anyway, so hi, my name is Kenny K. Royal.
And I am Maleficent. And do you?
Do I what?
No better.
Oh, that movie just looks gonna be so good. That scene alone just pleases me so much.
I've seen some good reviews for it. Although apparently it's
not. It came out yesterday, didn't it?
Yeah, but apparently it's not doing as well as people thought it was going to. I think in the first night it only sold 12-point-something million, and so like the projections have like been lowered for it because it's not doing as well as they thought it was going to.
Maybe it'll be good word of mouth after this weekend.
I hope so.
I haven't seen any reviews of it. I haven't watched it yet. Even Grace's I haven't watched yet.
I haven't seen any reviews of it other than like people that I know that posted, that's seen it, and they was like, oh, it was everything. Mm-hmm. And even one person who always seems to have something bad to say about movies seems to like this one. So I'm like, okay, well, it's kind of promising. It's kind of, but I'm hoping it does well because of Angelina Jolie being my love, and also that I love Maleficent. Yeah,
Angelina Jolie and with Michelle Pfeiffer in it. I just feel like this will be a good battle between the two of them.
And I love when it's two women because they always have, you know, it's always got to be a man, you know. So with it being these two women, and it's not, and now that we've gotten past the story of her being heartbroken.
Yeah, and I'm just like, that's why I didn't like that. I mean, I enjoyed watching the first Maleficent movie, but what really just bothered me was that they made it such a story about she's this way because a man broke her heart. And I'm just like, that. Let's stop putting men as the reason why women do anything. And I just feel like that's a very annoying stereotype, and like character flaw they like to give women is that they only do this because a man did them wrong and they want to pay him back. And I'm just like, why can't it just be evil because the bitch don't like people?
Well, definitely. I'm also very excited about this movie for the simple fact that we're finally going to find out what she is. Yeah. Because I remember watching the first one and them calling her a fairy, and I was like, but she don't look like these other fairies.
Surely don't.
So I'm confused.
She is much more powerful than these other fairies too.
I mean, she's big and all that type of stuff, and she's got these huge wings, and none of the other fairies look like that. Mm-hmm. So I'm really glad that they actually acknowledge that she is not a fairy and she's something else. And so I really want to see it.
And that breakdown, the one you had sent us from Vanity Fair of the director talking about that scene. Yeah. I watched that actually about a couple days ago I don't know if when it first came out, but I watched it before that. I forgot to send it to you guys. I think I fell asleep right after it. But I had watched that and I really enjoyed him discussing like all the little minutia that goes into making these scenes. I mean, I like every time Vanity Fair puts that stuff up for every movie.
Period. I'm definitely a person that loves to deconstruct things. Mm-hmm. And so when, you know, learning about camera angles and all the things that they think about, because he was like, especially him, because he was talking about all of like, this person is really important. They don't have any lines in this scene, but they're really important. I had to make sure they were right here, they were right here, and then I had to have them sitting from here. And
like the one guy that I think he's not even really a part of the movie, but he was the person that was telling them, okay, well, back in this time period, this is how the food looked, this is what the plates look like, and all that kind of stuff. And he was like, okay, because he gave us this information, put him in the background.
Which was very interesting. And I also thought, you know, when he was thinking about it, because looking at the food, because he was like, I want a really colorful food, and I was like thinking, they wouldn't have had this food in that time period. But
when he said that, I was looking at it, I was like, this looks like some very, not basic food, but it wasn't something where it was just like, I mean, it was colorful, but it wasn't like this grand meal. But then when he was like, their food was very just like brown and bread, like, and I was like, good God.
Potatoes, that's all they had to eat back then. Like a lot of the stuff that people, you know, in England, they didn't grow a lot of the stuff that was here, like corn and stuff. So they didn't have nothing but like bread and potatoes and some meat.
Yeah. At the same time, though, that wouldn't look good for a movie, especially a fictional movie.
It doesn't
where
look
you have a bitch with wings sitting here with powers. Yeah. It's like, if you're going to say, let's take your mind away from her not being real, but you got to focus on this food being real. Yeah. For the time period, at least.
I feel like, it definitely, when you're doing a fantasy film, you don't have to be 100%, you know, accurate as far as historically. It's just like Finding Nemo when they were with the school of turtles.
Yeah.
And they don't travel in schools.
I remember I saw that and I was like, so why the fuck they do that?
That's because they thought it looked cool. That's the only reason they did it. And so, you know, and very few people probably even know that. So, I mean, I don't think, unless we're doing an actual historical film, there's no need to be historically accurate.
At least 100%. Like, some things you can fudge and move around a little bit if you need to.
Yeah.
But, I think I went first last week, didn't I? So.
Oh, well, I have a confession.
Oh, good guy.
No, I honestly have been looking for something all week, and everything that I've been looking at has been having something to do with Trump for the most part. And I just honestly... A lot of stuff
has been having to do with Trump because we're doing bullshit.
Yeah, all this. And I just honestly don't want to talk about him, so I just honestly haven't found anything that interests me. I'm sure I'll bring something up as we talk.
I mean, that's fine.
But I'm sure I'll bring something up as we talk, but I don't have any actual topics.
We could get there.
Yeah.
My first one, the first one I thought you would have had you were probably going to talk about too, because the other day you sent me that video about the James Charles, it was tea spill.
Oh, okay.
What the fuck was that video? Because I watched it before you sent it to me.
The video that I sent you, it was about the Morphe in Wet and was it Wet and Wild?
Wet and Wild, and they were clocking James Charles.
Yeah, they clocked him for it.
So when you sent me that, I thought you were watching another video that she had did.
No, that's the only one I saw.
Which is what I'm bringing up.
Oh, what happened?
And I was like, oh my God, we got the same story.
Oh, no.
But, so this one is about James Charles adopting a puppy. Now, I know you follow him on Instagram, right?
I follow him on Instagram. I subscribe to him on Facebook. I did see that he posted a video about him adopting a puppy, but I don't know anything about it.
See, and I don't subscribe to him on anything, but I don't even think I'm subscribed to him on YouTube anymore, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm close to unsubscribing, to be very honest. I mean,
I have it. Well, we both have his palette.
I love his palette. Don't get me wrong.
But there are just things about him that really annoy me, especially like when we discussed how he brought out essentially the same fucking palette, just smaller. And
well, I've been very irritated about it. It'd have been different to me if they had done this whole rollout. If he would have just been like, okay, we're just gonna put out this smaller palette, but he didn't make this whole campaign, and he's like doing this whole PR packaging thing, and then swatches of the shades. To me, I'm just like, these are the same shades. What are we swatching? We know
for what reason, sir?
Yeah.
But this is really going to be in defense of him because he adopted this puppy and the internet just decided to be a whole complete asshole to him. I didn't watch the video that he posted of.
I didn't either. No.
Of his dog that he got and his whole journey of getting it. There were clips in T Spill's video about the from his, and so she was showing how apparently he had been looking for a dog for like over a year.
I know he's been talking about it. Yeah.
Yeah, he said he's wanted a dog for over a year, but when his first palette popped, when he dropped the original artistry palette, he said his schedule was just so busy, he did not want to get a dog and then just be leaving it at home. So he said that he was going to wait until his schedule was able to like lower and not be so hectic, and he could have time to, have the dog and incorporate it in his life a little bit more, and have the dog not get like separation anxiety. That was the biggest thing. He didn't want the puppy to get separation anxiety because he gets it and then leaves. Yeah. And so he said he was looking for a long time, but he wasn't able to find the dog that he really wanted. And so then I think he got like a call from a friend, and the friend knew somebody that their dog had just had a litter of puppies, and he was like, if you want one, go ahead, go ahead and get you one. So he went over, he got it, but the family didn't want to be filmed, which is not irregular. Something not everybody wants to be on fucking camera.
Yeah.
So he went there, he got the puppy, blah blah blah. Then, like I said, the internet went crazy. I just have like a few screenshots of like comments that people were making
over this situation.
Yes.
Okay.
I think people are just ready to shit on James Charles for literally anything. Not even just James Charles. Any famous person, especially YouTubers, it seems, ready to shit on them for anything they do.
Yeah. True.
But so there was one tweet that said he literally said he doesn't want to give his dog separation anxiety, so he locks him in a cage when it's crying. Like, can't you see the dog already has it? But the situation with that was he was trying to crate train him, and
most people do that.
Yeah, I've seen people even discuss where, now that's not my thing. I know that if I got a dog, I wouldn't, like, he's probably going to be around me most of the fucking time. So, but that's me. I can't go against what you're going to do with your dog because that's on you. I don't see that. Now, if somebody comes up with a scientific study about this being very detrimental to the dog, okay. But I've known people do this for the longest time. Our dog was, when we were younger, was crate trained, and they were perfectly motherfucking fine.
Yeah.
But
well, I think it depends on the dog. Some dogs you need to throw into something. Some of them be off the motherfucking wall. You know, me personally, I wouldn't want to do that. I would like for my dog to be able to walk freely around the house. I would like for...
And I'm not even saying that because I don't want, like, I think it's mistreating the dog or anything like that. I just know that I'm going to spoil my dog rotten.
Yeah.
So,
and my dog would probably even sleep in the bed with me.
I know mine is.
So, I wouldn't...
Even our big Rottweiler, his name was T, he would be in the bed with me. Mom would always tell him to get down, but if she wasn't around or looking, I'd be like, come sneak in this bed. And that dog was, like, several times bigger than me as a kid. Yeah.
No, like any dogs that we were around were very much outside. Mm-hmm. But I want a small dog. I want a little small one, and it would just be tiptoeing through here, and I'd be tiptoeing with it. So I just think that'd be really cute. But like, I don't feel the need to crate train. But it's the type of dog I would want would be one of those dogs that are quiet and they're not. Because some dogs, they will be yapping all night. I don't know. I don't want none of that. So, but. Yeah, but I don't think it's wrong. I don't think it means he doesn't love his dog either.
I don't think it is either. But he was like, I think it was on Instagram or Snapchat. He had made a video, and you can like hear the dog like whining in the background. And James Charles is like, I feel so terrible. He's like, I'm trying to crate train it, but I feel so terrible, and it's hard for me to let it sit there whining. But you have to get through that. And
well, it's just like a baby.
Yeah. Like, are you gonna be mad at somebody like sitting down, like they're Instagramming and their baby is just crying? Like, you're a terrible parent because your baby's crying. Babies cry all the time.
Yeah, but it's just like I don't see how it's any different from when people typically when they first have their baby, the baby's in the bed with them. But then at some point they gotta teach the baby to be able to sleep on its own. Yeah, and that baby is gonna be crying and crying and crying because it's expecting you to come and get it. So you gotta let it cry, and it's called self-soothing. Yeah, right. Okay.
But, so they were saying that, and then this other person said, like, a lot of it was just unnecessary comments about him and what he was doing with the dog. And somebody said, can someone tell James Charles can someone tell James Charles not to walk a 10-week-old dog who's not fully vaccinated? Did he not do any research before getting a dog? And I'm like, that's not even something that I even knew or even thought of. And I'm sure you could do as much research as you want to about dogs. I've had several dogs, and never one time have I, even in my 30 years of living right now, would have thought, okay, this is going to be an issue. The dog's maybe not vaccinated or whatever, so I cannot walk with him.
9 times out of 10, by the time you get a dog, I mean, if it's already vaccinated. Mm-hmm. Typically, it'll tell you already has a shot, when you're getting.
So I don't know where this person even got that it wasn't vaccinated.
Did he say it wasn't vaccinated?
The T-Spun never said shit about it. This comment was the only thing I saw that said something about it. So I'm like, are you assuming this and then getting mad about it?
Because most people don't give away dogs until they're vaccinated.
Yeah. And so another person said, James Charles really adopted a dog to be trendy. I'm weak. And I'm like, why do y'all think everything somebody does is to be trendy? Now, I understand a lot of people do things like to stay relevant or to continue to get their name out there. But if he's been wanting to get a dog, even videos that I remember watching of him, he's talked about a dog for a long fucking time. So this is not something to be trendy. Sometimes people just want a fucking dog. And if his job is to record his life, that's when he has to record.
And I think honestly, also because if you're a person who's single, who doesn't have children, sometimes you just want that love of a dog, because you're not getting it from nowhere else. Yeah. So I can understand, a single person wanting that. Yeah. And with him, he always calls himself perpetually single. Yeah.
He probably needs to be after the shit that went down last time.
Yeah, he needs to stop.
So then we have somebody that says, who let James Charles even get a dog? He's fucked up already by getting his puppy to climb up the stairs when their bones aren't fully developed yet, screaming around him, and clickbaiting about adopting a dog from a shelter when he just got one from a breeder. Like, what the fuck? Now, that's gonna be a continuous thing that you see in these. A lot of people feels that he think that he got it from, because he went to a shelter first. He was looking for a certain kind of dog. I don't know if it was even a certain kind of dog. I think he was just looking for a dog that was going to click with him, which most people would do. But he was going there. He went to like a few shelters, he said he wasn't really finding anything. And so that's when he got the call from his friend. But everybody assumed that he just made up an excuse and got one from a breeder. And people don't really care for breeders because they just breed a bunch of dogs and just send them off. Whatever the situation is, people are upset about that. The thing is,
but
though,
it didn't say, if it's your friend. I mean,
but
was it sad that these people were breeders?
No, people have been saying that. People have come up with this conclusion in their mind that it was a breeder and won't live it down now. He never said it. His friend said that James Charles' friend said that he knew some people whose puppy had just, or whose dog had just had a litter of puppies. If you want one, come on. That was the conversation. Could have
just been in heat. I don't know why all of a sudden they're breeders. It's irritating because people just make their own storylines, and then somebody will read it and see it as a fact, and then everybody, this is the truth. Like, am I somebody who thinks that James Charles does no wrong? No.
Yeah, definitely. We just had a discussion about him before we started this.
But
I'm not biased about him.
I'm not biased.
I'm not biased about any of them.
Yeah, I'm the type of person, I'll tell you when you're wrong and I'll tell you when you're right. He's gonna do wrong things. He's gonna do right things. I honestly don't see what's going on.
The reason I'm not biased about it because, like you said, people can do wrong things. People can do right things. But if you make every fucking thing this person does a wrong thing, you're belittling now, or you have kind of lessen the blow for when they really do bad things. Because now, if you're complaining about everything this band does, just to talking about James Charles, if every time James Charles do something, you text me and you're like, this motherfucker ain't doing shit right, he suck, he's an asshole, and then he finally does something, and it really is something bad, like, okay, this situation with the dog, the situation with the pallet, blah, 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 if you're just saying it's bad, and then he does something like call somebody a nigger.
Yeah.
Now, you start complaining about him doing something, I may not even listen to it. Because I'm like, well, you don't like shit he
I
do.
don't know.
I can't really believe you now that he even did it. Now I have to go research it.
Yeah, and I gotta go check and fact check. But the thing about that is I'm just like, okay, if you're going to be up his ass this much, at least get the facts straight. I mean,
because clearly you are.
Yeah, because like I said, I follow him on Twitter, I follow him on Instagram, and I'm subscribed to him on YouTube, which may not be for much longer. And the only reason I say that about YouTube is just because he's not uploading content that I care to watch. Yeah. I'm the type of person, I like tutorials. I turn to beauty gurus for looks, and nothing he's posting is a look I would wear. Yeah. I mean, hopefully
it's all
no
like
one.
super dramatic.
Yes.
Things that you're not going to wear.
Photo shoot, but not to go out. And so I can't wear Bob Ross on my forehead. It's not me. So, and I mean, he's talented, but it's just not the type of content that I care to watch. And I don't like challenges. Go up there, make me a look. That's all I want to see.
Go up there, make me a look.
That's all I want to see. So that's why I say that. But as far as, but I don't keep up with any of this information. I don't really care about people's personal lives, to be very honest. I mean, we talk about it sometimes on this podcast, but I'm not checking for people's personal lives. If it's something that just happens to pop up in pop culture because it just does, I mean, then you can't help but hear about it.
Things like this pop up because I adore Wendy Williams. I love watching her show. Again, I don't agree with everything Wendy Williams says, and I'll tell you when I don't think she's saying anything right. But I adore watching Wendy Williams. Not because I like usually it's not because I like the like hearing about these celebrities' lives and stuff like that. It's because I really enjoy Wendy Williams' personality and how she tells the story. Like she gets off track, especially when she starts salivating about the mere mention. Yeah, the mere mention of food. That bitch's mouth starts drooling. I love that. I like watching The View because The View primarily talks about politics, and I like to be informed about the situation going on. Like I did not used to be this informed about politics, but with Trump in office and shit happening, I need to make sure that if my rights about to get snatched away,
right? So, we get bombed in the next 5 minutes. Let me know.
So and stuff like that, and then I have the certain drama channels is what they call them on YouTube. But the ones that I follow are people that do deep dives into their research before they just put their opinion out. And it's never an opinion that's biased for the ones that I watch, at least. I started watching T-Spill, who breaks it down, and I used to watch I forgot the name of it. I think like Spills the Tea or something like that.
There's one that's called just Spill. And that's the one that I sent you.
It's just called
Spill.
She used to be called T-Spill.
And then there's another channel that's called T-Spill.
Oh, I thought that was both the same thing.
No, because I
wasn't the same girl who does that. It's the little drawing.
That's Spill.
Okay.
And then there's another channel that's T-Spill because I watched a video from T-Spill today. I can't remember what it's about. I don't follow any drama channels, but you know how you'll go down I guess what they recommended for you. And if it's a topic that seems interesting, I'll just like the one I sent you. I was like, okay, well, that's interesting.
Yeah, just click on and watch that one. Because sometimes since it's a drama channel, they talk about all YouTuber drama. I don't care about all YouTubers.
I'm not. Yeah.
But the original one that I used to watch, remember, it was one of the first ones I found with Jackie Aina, because they were talking about some girl that was trying to say Jackie Aina was going against her or talking shit about whatever it was. But she was the first person I started watching because was somebody that when something happens, she doesn't talk about it. She waits until all the facts are played out, the whole story is done, and then she'll go ahead and discuss it. And I like people like that. Wait until everything is said and done. Do your research, come to me with the facts, and then let the story play out. Yeah. But don't let somebody say one word, then you make a video about it. The next person responds, you make a video about it. And it's just nothing that really is not like a cohesive story. It's just a bunch of you. And then especially if you're somebody that's biased and you don't like one of the parties, of course your story is not going to be reputable to me because you're going to take the side of the person that you like more so than take the side of what's right and wrong.
Yeah, but also if you don't get all the information, because story changes over time.
It does.
So, as soon as somebody else brings something in and then some more information come in and then there's a whole different story. We don't know what's going on. And so, but speaking also about James Charles, because he was, they would kind of brought him up in the Shane Dawson video that came out last night. Mm-hmm. And basically, and so a lot of people have been kind of popping off about it on Twitter because it was like...
They brought it up because his palette was about to come out?
Yeah,
whatever,
about because
the year anniversary or whatever.
Yeah, they mentioned the palette and saying that they didn't really know what it was and blah blah blah. And then like somebody was like, well, they did know what it was because James in his video said they were working on it for 9 months. They said that video was taken, I think they said in March or May or one of those months. I don't know, but so it was like sometime around that. And then also they were talking about, and of course people were also kind of clowning James. It's like, oh, they had to move James' palette up.
Oh yeah, they did release much earlier.
Yeah, and it was like they had to move it up, and for the Shane Dawson palette and the Shane Dawson palette, whatever his name is, and then they were clowning James because the palettes didn't sell out this time. Because not only is the minis out, but also the original palette is out too, and all of them
like a restock or whatever.
Yeah, it was a restock, and and the whole time they've been like selling out. Still up there on the website.
The thing is, aside from like the petty talking shit about him, I feel like from a business standpoint, it would make more sense to move James Charles' palette up because he's only releasing essentially the same damn thing, just smaller. So that compared to a Shane Dawson, which I mean, something can be said for, he's never had a palette or even been seeming to be interested in makeup. You don't know how well that's going to do because who the fuck cares about his opinion when he doesn't do makeup or his palette. So, yeah. But I'm just thinking, since he's coming with not only a makeup palette, he's coming with some lip glosses. He's coming with a smaller palette himself. He's coming out with the makeup mirror. He's coming out with whatever else they were pitching to them. He has a whole line of shit.
He's got a lot of shit because even in the call, it was like we weren't expecting all of this.
Yeah, he's gonna need more of a landing zone to get on. James Charles' palette came out last year. He's coming out with his anniversary thing, and it's just a smaller version of that palette. So okay, it sold well, whatever it may do well, even if it's not selling as much as it did now. I mean, I feel like that's because it's the same fucking thing. True. And if people have that palette, they most likely have not used it up all the way. And if they have used it up, they've already bought one before this even came out. So nobody's really rushing to buy this because we already have it. Like you and I, we still have our fucking palette. I'm not even close to hitting pan on any of those. I'm nowhere near hitting pan. No. I can see why they moved that up. And not even coming from like, I want to talk shit about him, but it's just, it's thinking like business-wise, that makes more sense to me. I don't know why people felt the need to clown him about it, but
I don't think that he needed to be clowned about it. But a lot of people are just fed up with James Charles. The only thing
I can see that too.
And the other thing is about it because, from what I'm understanding, Morphe did not get their exclusive rollout because
with James Charles,
not James Charles, Jeffree Star and Shane, because from on Twitter they posted that it's going to be sold by all of their vendors. So Morphe did not get exclusive.
Really?
No. So although they didn't say that in their video, so I'm assuming
gonna
something
happen.
Video,
it was just gonna be Morphe and.
But I'm assuming something is gonna have to happen.
It would have to.
But you know what of course, I don't know. That's why I'm enjoying the series because it's like really getting deep. Mm-hmm. But what I feel like, because when they did the teaser, it showed that they are going to be talking about what happened with James Charles and Tati and
I've been
Jeffree.
waiting for that to pop out.
So I've been waiting on it to pop out. And I strongly feel that has to do with why Morphe didn't end up with exclusive rights or whatever that you want to call it. Sense. It might not be, but it seems quite plausible. Because right there they were talking about, we're going to do 90,000 of the lip glosses. We're going to do 500,000. You're going to be getting 20 million and da-da-da-da-da. And then Jeffree over here talking about you're going to take home 10 million.
Yeah. So somebody come to me and tell me I'm going to take home 10 million. I think I would weep.
I would tell me I'm going to take home 10,000. I'm going to weep. I couldn't even imagine having that much money. I
really couldn't either, to be quite honest. It's just like, it's so unfathomable to me.
And I can kind of understand Shane Dawson. I was talking to my brother about it, and I was like, I can understand that Shane Dawson might not be making as much money as probably some of these other people, but he acts like he makes no money sometimes. Like when I'm watching, you are living in a mansion with a courtyard, and you're over here like acting like, oh, I don't make any money compared to, and I mean, granted, he probably doesn't.
In his, like, just to play devil's advocate, I think because in his bubble, I mean, of course, we're looking at it and we're like, you have way more motherfucking money than I do.
Yeah, definitely.
But in his bubble of his peers, like, we're coming from our peers, his peers are all those YouTubers, and those YouTubers have come up and they are making several thousands much more than him. It's a very narrow-minded way to look at it, but the reason, that's his life.
But it is his life. But
so he's looking at it, he's like, I am broke compared to these motherfuckers.
Well, I stand by what I feel about him, and what I say is that that's his fault. Yeah. Because he didn't become an entrepreneur. If we're going to compare him to,
I think he knows that.
I believe he does. If we compare him to Jeffree Star is not who he is because of YouTube. He's not making the money that he's making because of YouTube.
Yeah. I mean, he's making the money he's making because of all the investments he's done.
He sells cannabis. He has apartment complexes, and
which blew me. I was like, that was a great way to make money, child.
He's doing that. He's selling other people's merch. He's, of course, got his own brand and cosmetics company.
He doesn't have to rely on these other makeup
and he's
companies.
all in-house. Like, he shows you in the video his warehouse where the people are putting them shit together. Yeah. I mean, it's not getting shipped in from China. Yeah. So, which makes me think of the whole thing with Wet n Wild and how they were like, they're using this place is somewhere in China. It's some Chinese word, whatever. But and then James was like, they just said that so out of context. Like, so it's true. So it's true. But then okay, his whole thing is because people are apparently it's something that's been happening with Morphe's and what they've been accused of several times is what they call white labeling, which is basically this company, which would be the Chinese company, makes this product at a very, very cheap price, and they design it, they make it, and then Morphe slap their name on it, and then
hike up the price, and then they slap James Charles' name on it and hike up the price even more. Yeah,
and so that's what people are saying, and that's definitely what Wet n Wild is, saying is what they're doing. And then James Charles was like, no, that's just our manufacturer. Get it right. Da 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 da. Now, whether or not it's white label doesn't matter. Yeah. What we do know is that that's the same palette that came. What is the 35B? That's what it's called. They already had that. But the thing is, and I agree with a lot of people that were saying this, that is irritating, is that he wants to take ownership of a rainbow palette. When he is not the first nor the last person to come out with a rainbow palette. And then I've seen plenty, and most of them look exactly alike, and they typically have the same layout. And he was like, I have my receipts of the things on my computer that I sketched out 2 years before Morphe even asked me. Why would you be sketching out palettes 2 years before Morphe asked you? I mean, that makes no sense to me. Yeah. I mean,
what I did think was smart for him, though, going back to Shane Dawson's video with Jeffree Star, they had, remember when toward the end of this episode or this video, they were mixing the shades around, trying to find out what was going to be the exact layout of the palettes, and they Jeffree called that woman over, and he asked her to give her opinion on how these would work, and she was telling him I would never use this shade, or this shade works well, I probably use these but not these, and they had came to a conclusion. They were like, if you put too many crazy colors in there, people ain't gonna use it. Put too many neutrals in here, people ain't gonna like it. Yeah. So I when they said that, I was like, and that's why I think James Charles' palette is really good, because I mean, even if it's an original or not, he has of all the rainbow palettes I've seen, he's the only palette that I've seen that has a lot of neutrals to use for not just like transition colors, but just if you don't want to bother with all these other crazy colors, you could use these, and they're the biggest pans.
Yeah, and then also,
so I was like, that's a very smart lane to go down.
If there's a particular day that you're feeling a little bit adventurous, then you might pop a color in there, you know. And so, because I'm a neutral person, as you know, and you're more of a colored person, which only for the eyes. And so, you know, and I use it, and every now and then I pop a color in. I personally love the palette. There's however it was created, that's my go-to palette every time I put it on makeup most of the time.
I truly feel that
like
for the most part, you can make any look with
Yeah.
that. Now, it doesn't have every single color, but for the most part, even if you start dipping and dabbing and mixing some shit up, you can make whatever you want to get to. Like when we went out last night and I did the sunset eyeshadow look, I immediately when I knew I was going to do it, I was like, I need to grab this James Charles palette because it's the only thing that's going to have every color I need.
Every single color.
And like I said, I just thought it was really smart of him or Morphe, whoever's idea it originally was, to put, okay, you got a smattering of all these like reds and pinks and blues and purples, yellows, oranges, greens. You have all these colors, and then you have the white, black, few different browns. You have like a lighter brown, a medium brown, a dark brown. Like you have all these colors that, and in the middle of it too. And then there's like one shimmer in the middle too, if I'm not mistaken. It's like
that a lot of people I think use for highlight. Yeah.
You have all these like things that people can use.
Dark ass white.
Yeah.
I'll never use it, but it's there.
They're the biggest pans. So that, because they know that people are going to use those the most. Not everybody wears a crazy color every time they go out.
Like I said, the layout is very smart. And
very
I'm sure
smart.
he may
and
have
I never even thought about it
with
like
layout.
that until that video when he was like, you make too many neutrals, they don't like it. You make too many crazies, they don't like it. And I was like, that's why his palette did some motherfucker well.
I think it is the perfect palette. And I also understand because in his video, when he was talking about the mini, and they were trying to figure out what they were going to do, and they was asking did he want to do a palette, he said it was stupid because that palette was every palette. And I mean, I can understand where he was coming from. I mean, you could make every look with that palette, and that was the point of it. So I guess making another palette wouldn't have been smart.
It wouldn't have.
And so
it wouldn't have done as well as that, no matter what he would have done. Even if you could even fathom thinking about something else to do.
Yeah.
But with that, I do want to, back to his little puppy adventure. I'm going to just read through a few of these and then give my opinion because I screenshotted a few of them. I think maybe one or two of them were some nice comments. It was not a lot that people said that was nice. But you have, you did not adopt, you did not go to an ethical breeder, you got a poorly bred puppy from a backyard breeder, and they're promoting it as adoption for views. That's not cool. And then it's hashtag adopt or shop responsibly. Yeah.
I'm confused about that. Okay.
PSA, this is not adopting. A puppy, James Charles, who has access to any and all resources he could want, chose to buy a dog from a backyard breeder. Don't be like James. If you want to buy from an ethical breeder, awesome. Otherwise, support your local rescues. And then not all compatible, and not at all comparable, and 2, he didn't go to a reputable breeder. Laughed my ass off. He went to someone that claimed to totally not be a breeder. Their dog just had puppies, which is something backyard breeders do to fool people into buying from their puppy meal. Hence why it's purebred. I'm gonna stop right there. Okay, that may be something that backyard breeders do to fool people, but I know plenty of people, even through my life, that have been like, oh, my dog just had puppies, do you want one? You can't say just because that's what people do as a ruse, that everybody that...
But this is somebody who his friend recommended.
Yeah.
I mean, so he trusted his friend to know this person.
And we still don't know if they are a backyard breeder or not. Y'all have just made this story and ran with it.
I don't think that this is a breeder. I think it's somebody who had a dog who got knocked up and had puppies. They didn't know what to do with them. Is either somebody's going to take the dog in or they were going to end up in a shelter. Which one did you want? I just don't understand.
And then this one says, it wasn't a breeder that had purebred puppies and didn't want to be filmed. I call bullshit. It was either a puppy mill or a backyard breeder. And I'm just like, not everybody wants to be on camera. I know in this day and age of social media and all these people want to be YouTubers and influencers and whatnot, it's hard to believe. But there are people that still in like our age, generation before us, that don't want to be on your motherfucking camera, bitch. Come here, get this done, get the fuck out of my house.
And although, like, for instance, even like with us talking here on podcasts, or we have our photos on Instagram or Facebook, or even when we were on YouTube, I'm a very private person. My private life is not on the internet, you know? Yeah. So not everybody wants all their business out there.
And this one says, just because someone doesn't call themselves a breeder doesn't mean they aren't one. What the fuck does that have to do with me, though? If I ask you, Kima, are you a backyard breeder? And you say, oh, no, we just had dogs. What the fuck? Do you want me to research through your whole motherfucking life and make sure that you are not? I've got to take your word as gospel right now.
A good old private
Unless you give me reason to believe that you're lying to me. I'm assuming James Charles didn't know these people because his friend had to recommend them. So for him to go up, if you called me and said, Kenny, I know you want, because I want a dog too. I mean, we both want dogs, but I want a Westland Terrier. And if you don't know what that is, it's the little white dog from the Caesar's dog food commercial. I've wanted this since I was a fucking child. Yeah. But if you called me and you were like, Kenny, I know you want this Western Terrier. I got a friend. His puppy just had some. Go ahead and get you one. Now go over there, and I'm not about to sit here and ask you, did you backyard breed these? Are you doing this for your body? You always doing this? Like, nah, bitch, give me this dog. Now, I understand that if you want to be responsible and want to look into them, okay, that's fine and dandy. But not everybody. I should not have to. If the situation doesn't seem sketchy to me, it should not be something that you clock me for. Go call those motherfuckers out.
I still don't understand why people are so upset.
I don't either, to be quite honest with you. It's just, it's something that has bothered me because I'm just like, once he does something really fucked up, go ahead and let him know. Yeah. But this is something that y'all are just trying. You're reaching for a reason to be mad about it. You're reaching for a reason to be upset with him about something. And this is why a lot of YouTubers and celebrities in general tune you bitches out. Because if everything I do can't be bad, bitch. Everything I do cannot elicit a response from you that makes you think that I'm the most evil motherfucker in the world. Because if you continue to do that, I'm no longer going to listen to you. And if I'm no longer listening to you, I can't receive the pure and real criticism. Because if you felt that he went to a backyard breeder, you could have easily said something that wasn't so belittling. Because all of you are acting as if you know more about him or know more about dogs than he does. And I'm sure most of y'all don't. I'm sure most of y'all are just going off of what you saw somebody else say in the comments. And you're like, well, let me piggyback on this. Yeah. Meanwhile, your parents got your dog from backyard breeding. You ain't said shit about that. You don't know nothing about that. You didn't do your motherfucking research where the dog came from.
I know a lot of people that just get dogs. There'll be people on the side of the road giving dogs away. Yeah. And if there's a dog you want, you're going to get it, right? Yeah. So I don't really understand the issue. I know, and it could be true that James Charles might not know a goddamn thing about dogs. He might not.
He may not. I mean,
I don't know. But really.
And I can't talk shit about it because I've never done enough research into dogs to know what to do. But I'm not going to do that until I get one.
He doesn't have to know everything about dogs, just like the rest of us. Everybody assumes just because he's on YouTube and he has money that he's supposed to know everything. Yeah. He doesn't have. This boy is 19, 20, however old he is now. And, let him be whatever. He's gonna have to figure shit out, even if he don't know what dogs are. If he's figuring shit out, he's gonna figure it out just the rest of us. I don't know a goddamn thing about dogs, but I want me a dog, and then when I get it, I'm about to figure it the fuck out.
Just like people have to do with children.
Yeah,
this is a very real situation. But like there are people that go out and they do plethora of research and find out whatever they need to do, and they still ain't prepared. There are people that don't do any research. They get them and they're not prepared, but they may do better than the people that did research. Yeah. Because sometimes you may research so much that you start doing things that are detrimental because you thought that it was a good idea.
Very
but
true.
Every dog is different, just like every kid is different. Yeah. You have to go based off of what this puppy does, what this dog does, and what they like and don't like. Because just because your dog likes to be babied, this dog may not want to be bothered with you all motherfucking day.
Which is I feel now, every time I think about getting a dog or us getting a dog, I'm glad that I will be with y'all because y'all have more experience with dogs. And y'all can help me figure out what the fuck to do. Because honestly, I had my own dog when I was really, really young. It was like one of those wiener dogs. I don't know what their name is. But
I don't know either. I want to say wiener schnitzel. I think that's like an actual food.
I think that is food. But I don't know the name. I know it has something to do with wiener. But everybody called them wiener dogs. But I had one. His name was Patches. But my brother ran him away. And so he wasn't allowed in the house. He was forced to stay outside. Although I feel like those are more house dogs. My mom was like, not in my house. So but the thing is, we had a huge backyard, and there was a part of the backyard that was sectioned off, completed by itself. And so there was and it had his dog house in it. So it was like he had his own yard with his own house, which I thought was really cute. Yeah. But my brother, little chubby self, rode him like a horse, and he burrowed under the fence and ran away.
He said, "Not today. We're not gonna do this no more, bitch."
And then at one point, my father had a Rottweiler, but it was staying at my grandma's house. but also another outside dog. So, I mean, I never really had much experience really being around dogs unless I was around. But the thing is, strange enough, like, if we're out and about, like when we were at the park, dogs come straight up to me.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even know that dog was sniffing at my feet until y'all were like, oh. I was like looking over. I was like, what's going on?
One other comment that somebody had made that really bothered me the most was when they were, I won't say the most, but it was just bothered me. They were telling him, like, they were shitting on him because he didn't get one from the shelter. And they were like, why didn't you just get one from the shelter? All these dogs at the shelter need to be adopted or they're going to get, like, euthanized. And I'm just like, okay, that's not on James Charles. Because if you want a dog that's going to click with you, you have to go in there and feel for that dog. I mean, of course, I wish that none of these dogs had to go through being in this shelter, not really getting love and anything like that, and then maybe getting euthanized if they don't get adopted. That's terrible. But at the same time, I'm not gonna go into a shelter, get the first dog I see, get home, and this dog is a motherfucking devil. Like, that's not gonna work for me. Like, you can't just say, go get one from a shelter. He said he went to several shelters and he didn't see one that clicked with him. Now that you can't shit on him for that. I mean, I'm sure you don't go into a shelter and get the first dog you fucking see. So what the hell does it matter?
Well, my thing is for me is that not only do you want one to click with you, but everybody, particularly most people that I know, and you know, when we have conversations, everybody has a particular breed that they want. Mm-hmm. Like me, I want either a Maltese or a pug, or maybe a Chow Chow. But Aaron keeps saying Chow Chows aren't that great, so I don't know. But definitely either a Maltese or a pug. And so if I go to the shelter and there ain't nothing but big ass golden retrievers and you know whatever else, I don't want a big dog. I can tell you that. And so I'm not gonna leave for the dog because I don't want a dog that's bigger than me.
Yeah.
And I'm a small person, so I can't get a big dog. I one thing I wasn't that crazy about Titan, that was the Rock Rider, is because he was like huge and he would love to hop on you and knock you over. I don't like that. I don't like being knocked over.
Now, for me, growing up, there have been 2 dogs that I've wanted in my life. Now, of course, if ever something happens, like let's say we're outside one day and we see a dog just wandering and it comes over, and if I see nobody is attached to it, I may go ahead and snatch it up and give it a bath or whatever. Now, if we keep it, we keep it. Now, but the thing is, like, if I have the ability to choose the dog that I want, there have always been 2. There's been the Western Terrier. I've wanted that since the first time I saw it in the Caesar's dog food commercial, and I've always wanted a husky, but I wanted a huge husky, and I want one because I just love those big ass dogs. The T, my dog when I was younger, we had 2 Rottweilers, AJ, which is named after my mom, and T, which is short for teeth because he has some big ass teeth.
Oh Lord.
But T was a big ass baby. He was like I said, he's like this fucking big, but his ass would just be the biggest butterball. And I just love big dogs that are just, they think they're like teacup poodles, or not what is it, teacup chihuahuas.
Yeah.
And then Lamar's mother's family, they had, the dog is dead now, but they had a dog who they stupidly named D.O.G.
D.O.G.?
Yes.
Okay.
When they first said it to me, I was like, oh, what's his name? And they're like, D.O.G. And so I thought it was like a whole word, like a D.O.G. And then when I'm like, say it again, and they said it, was like D.O.G. And they're like, yeah. And I was like, who the fuck thought, y'all thought
who
that was
named
clever? But anyway, he was also a big ass baby. And like I said, I would go over when we would go pick Lamar up, or we go over to our family's house. He would see me come in, and I would sit down. He would first like lick all my hands or whatever. And if I sit down, he comes and sit on my feet so I can't leave. And if I'm not paying attention, he'll like get on the couch and lay across me. And again, this is a massive a dog, so I'm just sitting back like, hey baby. And I just love big dogs like that, so I've always wanted a big,
I don't mind the ones that are like babies.
That's what I want, because if I get a husky and I know it's gonna be big, it's gonna be baby by the time it even gets to that size. So by the time it gets to that size, it's like, oh, I've been treated like a child the whole time. So like stuff like that, I those are the only 2 kind of dogs I've ever, like, if I got to choose, that's what I want. But if ever comes a time, like back in the day, we used to do this with, like, my mom did it mostly with cats, because you didn't really see dogs a lot, and if we did see dogs, it wasn't like a very advantageous opportunity to go grab this dog up. You don't really see dogs like you did back in the day just wandering around.
No, you just see cats, especially here. There's so many cats in this apartment complex. And they be trying to sneak into this house several times with me trying to walk in here, and I'd be like, no.
Even at our our first apartment, me and Aaron, there was a cat that we named Midnight because it was just pure black. And I remember this story because we would always, I would let it in sometimes. He would, like, every now, like, as the longer we lived there, he would take a few more steps into the apartment. Like, he started off, he would just sit at the door and he'd be like, okay, I don't trust you niggas. And then, like, the more we would, like, play with him or give him food, he would come a little further in. I think the furthest he'd ever come in is all the way into the bedroom, and he was in there for a second, he looked around, he was like, okay, I'm head out.
All right.
But I used to always, like, put, like, if he would come up to the door and we heard him meowing, I would put milk outside. And then I did research, and I was, because I remember somebody said something about milk is not good for cats, because the cats are lactose intolerant.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know how true that is. So I went, I looked it up after, let me tell you, like, a year and a half of giving him milk. I went and researched it, and it's like, cats get, like, cramps and shit, and if you give them milk. And I was like, oh my God. But the thing is, I put water outside, he left that motherfucking water alone. So I was like, I mean, if he gonna kill himself, bitch.
It's so weird, because if that's the case, it's always been taught to you that cats drink milk.
Yeah.
And then even, because, you know,
TV,
there are
your
cases
family.
when cats will kill babies because they smell the milk on their
Oh, yeah,
breath.
on their breath. And
So they try to get the milk and kill the baby. I mean, of course, not trying to, but
Yeah.
And so it's so odd to me. But, you know, I can understand, because I'm lactose intolerant and I still love my milk products. So I mean, I can
cats
understand.
are just like you. Just like, listen, I know it's gonna be trouble, but it's good.
I gotta do it on a day off.
But that's really all I had to say about James Charles and his situation. The next topic that I had was about, I don't know if you heard about this, but Kevin Feige got promoted again.
Did he?
He got promoted. So I don't know if it was a promotion to head. Of course, he was heading Marvel or the MCU already.
Yeah.
But then when they tasked him to also do, I don't know if it's a Star Wars movie or something to do with Star Wars. But they said,
he's supposed to be taking over Star Wars.
oh, I didn't know that. So that would be a promotion, I'm assuming.
Yeah, he's taking over. Like, George Lucas is quite bitter about it.
Oh, okay. Wow. So he got promoted to CCO, which is Chief Creative Officer of Marvel. And so what that entails is he's the head now of not only the movies, but the TV shows, of course, the stuff on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And publishing. So the comics.
Oh.
So
But, you know, I'm not mad about it.
So all key creative executives have to report to him now. And I think the only thing now that he doesn't have, like, control over is video games, like entertainment, like that. So, but like movies, or if he already have movies, the TV shows.
I wonder if he just don't care about the video games, which could be, because I feel like if he did, he probably would be.
The thing is, I don't know, because Marvel already doesn't have a great track record with video games aside from Spider-Man. They've had some stuff with, like, Capcom versus Marvel and
I've seen that.
certain X-Men games, but none of them have, like, that is the one area that I'll say, no, there's two areas in my opinion, that Marvel, or that DC beats Marvel. DC beats Marvel in video games because they have coined that market. They're really good with their Injustice and their Batman series. They've been doing really good with that. Now, they also do much better in animation, in my opinion. DC's animated movies are fucking amazing. Like, MCU level amazing, in my opinion.
Like, I can't really have an opinion. I've seen The Killing Joke. I've seen, I believe, what is it? Bad Blood?
Bad Blood is one with Batman and all his
with
Robin and Batwoman and Batgirl, and
because that's the one with Damien. Okay, yes, I saw that one.
But DC is really good at their storytelling and having their overarching narrative, I believe, for their animated stuff. Now, I don't know about TV, like regular, like smaller animation, because I only watch when the movies come out. And so I think they are excelling over Marvel in those aspects. And I don't know if Marvel does much animation. Well, I know they do. They do quite a bit of animation, but the story,
I've seen none of it.
It's just not. There's been like 2 or 3 things that I've watched that I've really enjoyed. Like, there was an arc that they did about Thanos, and a whole situation goes on, and they end up fighting him, of course, and something happens where Black Widow gets the Infinity Gauntlet.
Y'all showed me that, yeah.
So I really enjoyed that.
I only saw that bit. That's the only part.
Really,
y'all was like, Black Widow's whooping ass.
She really was. She got them sounds. She was like, let me tell you something. She essentially became the Phoenix, in my opinion. That's how, like, if I could compare it to anything. But it was that and maybe 2 other things that we watched. But overall, the show just, it was lacking. I think they tried too hard to copy what the MCU was doing, and
I like the old Marvel cartoons, but I'm sure.
those
But the
were
thing
amazing.
is, I don't know how I'd feel about it today because like you could like something when you were watching it, you go back and like, why did I like this?
Yeah.
But I used to watch Spider-Man and his Incredible Friends or whatever it was called. I can't remember, but it was like something like that because it was like him.
New or old?
It's old.
Because there's a new one that's kind of like that. I don't know if
they may have remade it.
I don't know if it's remade because I don't even remember the old one, but it's just essentially Spider-Man and like a bunch of like smaller characters.
Yeah, it's like Spider-Man
from
and a
other
couple
shows.
of like other superheroes. I can't remember who they were, but I know one of them was a woman and she did something. But
Was it White Tiger or whatever?
no,
Oh.
she was like some. I can't remember. I cannot. She's like she had fire powers from what I remember. But But I used to watch that.
I was about to say Starfire. And I was like, totally different place.
But I used to watch that. A lot of this stuff I had to preface. I watched with my grandmother. My grandmother watched all of this stuff, so I get like my love for any animation and comics or anything comes from my grandma.
Aaron would know.
But I probably can Google it and find out. But I used to watch that. I used to watch a lot of the different little Spider-Man ones. There was the older one. I think that was like in the 90s.
Spider-Man.
There was like one that came out in like
Radio.
the 2000s that was like in CGI. I don't know if you know that one. I used to like that one. I used to, of course, watch the old X-Men.
The old X-Men was amazing.
It was. And,
the thing is, going back and watching those clips of all the times. But this is
the
not
thing
even
is,
something going
I
back.
didn't
Even back
realize
then.
it, though.
Back then, I that's why I did not like Jean Grey for the longest time. Because I was like, this bitch don't do nothing.
I always didn't like Jean Grey because she was such a whiner. That was always my thing. I was like, she always whined. But I think maybe I might have just blacked it up because I love the Phoenix. I probably just blacked out all the times when she was just passing out all the place. Failing at everything that she did. but I love the Phoenix so much. But I just wish that she could just be the Phoenix and just live that life. Because not only that, because Jean is always dying.
Yeah.
Like, she can't stay alive to save her life.
Oh, sorry. My phone started playing a song, and I was like, what the fuck is happening in my ear? I heard drums beating. I was like, hold on. But I really, going back to Spider-Man, so remember the original, that song from his show, and it was like Spider-Man, Radioactive Spider-Man. I never knew that it was Radioactive Spider-Man until much later in life. I always thought it was Bring Your Webs to Spider-Man, which made no sense to me. That's what I thought they were saying.
You always murder me. You get so many lyrics wrong, and when you tell me what you think they are, and I was like, where do you get this from? Because this doesn't just happen sometimes. This happens all the time.
So, it comes from my fucking mother not knowing no damn lyrics. But, like I said, with Kevin Feige taking on this role, I am happy about it for a few things, but I'm also indifferent about it because it's a greater thing. I'll say I'm excited about it because the biggest thing with Marvel TV shows, when Marvel first got, I know you never watched it, but remember, Aaron and I would always tell you that we liked Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yes.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. started off with, at the end of...
This lady.
I don't know who that is. Child, I don't know who that is. But,
wait, her name is Firestar.
Is it? Oh, Firestar. So I was close to being right.
That's hilarious.
But I wonder if she has like all the same powers and probably the same backstory as Starfire.
I don't know. I mean, seeing as Starfire doesn't really shoot fire.
She's like those green plasmas.
She's more energy blast, so I would assume not. She actually shoots fire. Like she's very much fire.
But what was I saying about? So with Marvel, the TV shows, like I said, with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it started off being at the end of what is it? Winter Soldier, when Marvel or S.H.I.E.L.D. just kind of like crumbled within itself. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was where that was supposed to pick up at. It was like, okay, now we're going to just do shit in the background. But then it became a lot less about S.H.I.E.L.D. because even in the TV show, S.H.I.E.L.D. got destroyed because Hydra was still very much so implanted in S.H.I.E.L.D. And so a whole bunch of shit happened. The thing is, they started off with, they would do like little subtle nods to the stuff that's happening in the movies. So like every time like a big event would happen in a movie, they would kind of incorporate it into the show. like on a smaller scale. Like, okay, this in the movie, of course, is what's happening overall in the grand scale of things. But then on the show, this is the repercussions that are happening to the smaller, like regular people,
like on the ground.
Yeah. So, which I found very interesting. But the thing is, the movie's never discussed any of it. So a lot of people that watch the show would be like, "Oh, I'm like really excited, or we're like really hoping that at some point those characters would show up again, or would show up in the movies, even if for like just a little small part." Yeah. But they just never acknowledge them at all. And I think it's because of the fact that Kevin Feige just did not want to work with, or didn't like Isaac Perlmutter. I don't even know if he still runs the TV.
But they also like kind of not show Shield as much.
Yeah,
I mean, Shield kind of is, other than Maria
Hill and
what's his name?
Nick Fury.
Nick Fury. If other than them, you didn't really see anybody else.
Yeah, you didn't see anybody at all, and that's why nobody really thought about it. Like they weren't deep underground. Like nobody knew Shield was even a thing anymore, except for like the higher execs in the White House, and of course, and this Nick Fury, because he was on like an episode or two of the show. It was when they were trying to get Coulson back again. Coulson has died so many times in Agents of Shield, and what bothers me the most about it is
Well, he died in the movie.
Yeah, he died in the movie, and then they revived him in the show. Or no, yeah, they revived him in the show, and that's why they brought Nick Fury in, because they were like explaining how he came back to life, which was a whole situation. But then there's been several times where he's died and then has come back, and I'm like, okay, that works in the comics. Even then, it really don't work. It bothers me because it really, when you have a character that dies so much, it kind of, the next time they die, I don't really care because they're gonna come back. Like, you take the weight away from it. And I think that's why the movies excel so well, because when somebody dies, you want them to die. I don't think that's why I don't really care for Loki, because I'm like, well, every time you show us him dying, like, you lighten the blow more and more. Like, it becomes less relevant or important, because if he just keeps dying and coming back.
As much as I hate that Black Widow died, I really don't want, although I feel like they did her wrong, because she didn't get a funeral or anything. But
that funeral was so much more focused on Tony.
Yeah, like they forgot all about her, and she had to die like the day before. And then I'm just like, nobody cared. But I really don't like the whole somebody die and come back.
Now, if you're gonna do it like once or twice,
they already did that.
Or I'll say just do it once.
They already did that with Gamora.
Oh yeah, they did.
So. I don't need everybody to die and come back. Let them stay where they're at. I do like the idea of people thinking that that Tony's basically going to be like Jarvis. And so I was like, I think,
Spider-Man.
I think that would be cool. Yeah,
that would be cool, because it's not really him coming back. It's more, or if you want to say it's consciousness or whatever. But I would like that. But the thing is, okay, then don't kill his AI and then bring him back again, because it's like, now we're doing too much. But the reason I'd have a problem with it is mainly just because it takes away from the emotional reaction you have to the death when they keep coming back. It's just like, okay, so I don't really have to care now, because I know he's gonna come back in the next movie. Yeah, like that's what it takes away from me. It's a very it's a flaw in storytelling, I feel like. And when you're writing a script or whatever, I don't know why people don't think about, this is going to make people not really care as much if this is the fourth fucking time we done brought him back. But I said all that to say that the TV show for Agents of Shield, I wanted them to incorporate the TV shows into the movies, and I never did. And I think it's because Kevin Feige didn't have control of it. And I think Kevin Feige saw that a lot of these other people didn't really care about, which I can see just based off of the way the other properties have behaved and have done. They don't care about it as much as Kevin Feige does. Kevin Feige has very much so embedded himself into this. And I feel like he sees that these other people don't really care about where the original stuff has come from, like where they're pulling these ideas from, and just doesn't want to work with them. And so with him having control over the TV shows now, I feel like, okay, if we get TV shows or not, it's going to be something where it's going to be a part of this overarching story, as opposed to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. being on the side now. Well, it's no longer running, but you know what I mean? Like, the TV shows no longer mattering. Or the Netflix shows not really mattering. Because those things, like Netflix shows and the regular TV shows on ABC, they both did things where they would highlight or they would showcase things that are happening in the movies, but the movies never reciprocated that with them.
Yeah.
But now that is something that can happen because it's all going to be
we
on
already
Disney Plus.
we already know that that's something that's already in the works because if we're looking at WandaVision,
Yeah.
we already know that's going to lead up to that Doctor Strange movie,
Which is what I'm very much so excited about because I feel like I don't know if there's something where in-house only the TV shows could do something with certain characters and the movies have to do things with a broader spectrum of characters. But if that was the case, I am happy that he had, even more happy that he has it because he has a bigger arsenal to play with.
Yeah.
And then he has a bigger playground to play with because he gets the movies and Disney Plus to play with it on.
But I definitely think it's very much extending the universe because not everything can be told in a movie. So now we're going to get all like
some things have to be told in a lower scale.
Yeah, especially like the less important stuff that could just be stuff that could be happening while all the bigger stuff is happening. Or and I definitely like the idea of just like for instance when in Endgame when they went back in time and then we found out that the Ancient One is up here fighting battles on another building.
Like not on this building, bitch. Back it up. Like I really enjoyed that. I really love how they went back and they did so many callbacks to things that you wouldn't have thought were important, but it was just a really well told story and really written very well.
I have so much love and respect for Kevin Feige and the people that he appoints.
To
of
work
course,
on these different things.
He's not. I know that he has a vision, but he's not the one that writes this stuff. But it takes him to put these people in these right places to create such great art.
Yeah.
And I hate that people won't consider these movies as art just because they are comic book movies and blockbusters. You know, and that's my biggest gripe with people like Scorsese who are like, oh, I haven't watched it, but
the other thing that I'm really excited about too, or I hope happens, I don't know if it's going to happen, but with the comics, because he's over that now.
Yes.
I would really enjoy if these comics
if
were...
I was writing a comic.
I would really enjoy if they were like preludes sometimes. Like to certain things that will happen in a TV show or something that'll happen in the movies or just even more background story.
Just backstory, yeah.
Yeah, like I feel like that would be really good because now you're tying so much into it where like you have to watch the movies. If you watch the movies, you have to watch these TV shows. If you watch TV shows, you have to watch the you have to get the comic and read the comic.
Definitely with him
it's just something that this whole thing is just one encompassing story and I feel like that would be very great and very in the business sense, in my opinion, will make you a lot of money because the people, the diehard fans and people that are just like
they're going to get it
regular
all.
Casual people, they're going to like, you have this plethora of information because before this, things were so disjointed. I feel like the TV shows were their own thing, the movie were their own thing, the comics were their own thing.
But I think that's the point. I think the reason why they are appointing Kevin Feige is because I feel like they're doing a massive. I don't know if they're going to do a reboot exactly, but it's saying that at least they're going to have this universe that they're creating for the MCU to be all encompassing.
Yeah.
That way, the comic books are following the same storylines and the shows are following the same storylines and it's just all the same characters because these characters that are in the movies are not the characters that are in the comics.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to have
the
this
comics are changing their characters to be like who's in the movies now.
So I think that is very smart to have him over it because that way it can be continuity. And
continuity is one thing that is, as most companies have seen, is driving results.
Yeah.
And when everything isn't so fucking disjointed, people pay attention more.
Yeah.
And I feel like DC just has not yet understood that for some reason or don't care. I don't know what the situation is. But
I think that DC is at the point because where DC fucked up at is that they were trying to sprint in a race that Marvel had already paved. They had already paved it, but they slowly built that. You know, they started small and they just kept building upon it. And like DC wanted to go, you know, hit the ground running where it was like, oh, Justice League.
Yeah.
Like, but the thing is that irritated me about the Justice League is that maybe y'all should have started with the one-offs or like with the solo films because for the first 45 motherfucking minutes, we were doing backstory.
Yeah.
I don't want, I mean, if you need to do that, you need to give these people their own films first. That way when we get to the actual, you know, meat and potatoes of it, then, you know, we can just get to the story.
Yeah.
And now they're so discouraged. They completely disbanded the old universe, and then now they're talking about they're only doing standalone films. Which
I mean, maybe it'll work for them, but I don't see it in the grand scheme of things. Like I said, we will have to see, but I just don't know how great that's going to be.
I mean, I personally like shared universes. Of course, I mean the MCU's only really our only like
thriving.
But that's the only one that I can really talk about. I don't know about any other movie franchise that is a shared universe like that. At least to that extent.
Oh yeah.
But as far as if they can keep making great movies like The Joker, I can stand by it.
Yeah.
And like, okay, well, if they're going to just keep making these one-offs, the only thing about it is that when you do one-offs, like if The Joker is going to be that one-off and there's never going to be another movie connected to this, that means that Joaquin Phoenix can't be the Joker again.
Yeah.
So if you have another movie with the Joker, it's going to be another Joker.
Yeah.
And I find that to be a little irritating.
Yeah.
With the Joker doing well and with, the success of Aquaman and hopefully with Wonder Woman hopefully being successful, it'll hopefully make them like, you know what? We seem to be turning the cogs a little bit better in a different way, and maybe we can try this shared universe again. Because as much as I loved Jared Leto, I could be very happy with Joaquin Phoenix going forward as Joker. But yet again, this would have to be a completely different universe because it doesn't make sense with Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Unless Harley Quinn unless we got more than one Joker and this one Joker's over here and this Joker's over here, but it still don't make sense because this Joker was Joker first.
Yeah.
So it can get very convoluted.
Step in shit, and it's hard for y'all to clean it off.
Yeah, so they would have to start the shared universe all the way over again, and and Margot Robbie ain't finna have it.
Yeah, Margot Robbie is let y'all know. This is my show. We not going nowhere. So. The only thing that has made me nervous about, or maybe indifferent about Kevin Feige getting promoted to this, is it's not like me thinking that he can't do it. Is this too much for him? Because he was already doing like the grand scale alone of him covering all the MCU movies. That was a lot. Over 20 movies? Of him just having to control the narrative and remember all these things and like put these things together. And then you gave him Star Wars. And you gave him Star Wars. And then you gave him TV shows or Disney Plus, and then it was Star Wars, and then gave him TV shows and comics I used to look over now. And I was like, is this too much for him? Because what I don't want to happen is, not that I doubt that he can do it, it's just, is it going to be something where he's like, okay, there's so much on my plate, I'm going to take a good hiatus, I'm going to retire early, because this is going to murder me.
I personally don't think it's going to be too much for him, and this is why. Because there are CEOs of everything. For instance, Bob Iger. CEO of Disney. Yeah. And do you know how many movies Disney put out? Yeah. And he's able to function. So I feel like Kevin Feige would be fine. The thing is, when you're at the top, you don't have to do much. You don't have to remember shit. Yeah. He's got people remember shit for him. He ain't got to remember nothing. He's like, okay, well, pull up this Excel file about where this is, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so what's happening in this year on this time, whatever. You tell me. So I feel like he'll be fine. But the thing is you start to think because as we know, with all juggernauts, they will fail at some point. Yeah. So I am wondering how long will his star shine before it explodes. It dims out. Yeah, because every star becomes a black hole. So at some point it's like, okay, so because we've gotten to the climax of what we originally thought
the original saga
was going to be, and I think like me, and I'm sure a lot of people was like, that's going to be the end. That's what I thought. I was like, once we get here, that's just going to be it. And then we're going to leave it alone. But since they're not and they're pushing full steam ahead, and I don't think it's anytime soon, at least I hope not. But there is going to be a point, you can't be on top forever. Yeah. So I do wonder, like, at what point is it going to start to simmer down?
I hope, because usually when things need to simmer down, you can see it long before. The thing is, people choose money over it. People choose going out until everything just implodes. And I hope that by the time you put that first movie out that doesn't, not that it doesn't do well, but you just see that the whole vibe of how the fans even receive it, like the actual fans even receive it, kind of changes. You start making a plan to wrap it up and just make this the very end instead of keep on going until we force you to make it the end. That's what I don't want. I don't want you to be forced to make it the end.
My gripe with franchises and series, and I would hope, since Kevin Feige is a fan first, and that's why I feel like he's done so well, because he is a fan first, is that we create a narrative. The thing is, and I believe in, I firmly am, and I know some people hate the idea of things ending, but all stories end. Let's please stick to that reality. I love for my stories to have an end. You know, I don't need it to go on forever. Let my story, and let it be an ending that I'm okay with, and I'm good, and I'm like, okay, well, we can leave that alone. I can always rewatch it if I just need it, you know. But so hopefully, my thing is with franchises and series is that when we have our story, and we was like, okay, we've gotten to the point where it should be coming to an end, that we don't keep going. Yeah. Because that's when things go bad. Yeah. So if we can just find the narrative and be like, okay, well, this is the story we're telling, and once we've accomplished all the things we mean to accomplish, then we're going to say goodbye to this.
But I think that he'll have more longevity, not just him, but his whole team. Yeah. The all-encompassing team. Yeah. Has more longevity because the first saga that they did focused on just, I mean, as many characters as they had. It was a very small amount of characters in the grand scale of Marvel. Yeah. They have so many characters to play with. They have so many stories to tell. When X-Men comes in, that's a whole wealth of stories. That shit that you can dive into of racism and otherism and all that kind of shit that they can talk about. Then you have the whole family dynamic of the Fantastic Four. Yeah. You have stories that you can tell, like a very grand wealth of stories that you can tell, so they have more longevity, but then even those have to come to an end.
Those do have to come to an end.
Maybe if we get 2 or 3 more sagas, let's make sure that we're doing this right and that we understand, okay, now we've told not the basic stories, but the over-encompassing stories that we can tell, and now let's just give this a happy bow, because it's better to leave people wanting more than to not care.
Very true, very true. I do like that, at least, because now we're going into this new era that we're focusing on different characters. So, I mean, because we had this whole saga that was the core people like Black Widow and, you know,
a bunch
Iron Man
of people that no one even thought anybody would care about.
Now we're focusing on the characters that came later. So at least, you know, some stories did end. Yeah. So Captain America, his story ended. Iron Man, his story is ended. And so that at least we can tell that they do know when to end a story. Yeah. So that makes me hopeful. Yeah. That at least we do know that, okay, we're not just going to drag shit out just to drag it out. I do believe they believe in the art of it. I do believe they believe in telling actual stories in human condition, and people, although they're fantastical things that are based in reality, still, I mean, to an extent. Yeah. And so at least I can feel like when it does come to like, okay, well, this story, this is the end of it, I feel like we can get there, and it'll be bittersweet, but we will appreciate it all the more.
Yeah, I mean, I did want Robert Downey Jr. or Iron Man to die, but the way he died...
It could have been done better.
Yeah, the way he died is like, oh, I wish he... Because now we're like, please let him come back as an AI or some form. Like, people want him to come back. Like I said, it's better to leave people wanting more than to be tired of him. Because had he not died... And then you got him to the point where people were already turning on him. Yeah. Because that's what a lot was happening before. People were like they were saying they were getting sick of Iron Man being in all these stories. But the thing is, Iron Man started this. Iron Man is the reason all these people are together.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Iron Man.
And not just Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. is the reason these people came together. It was for that. For you to be getting tired of him, okay, that's all fine and dandy, but the thing is, he's here because he's here for a reason. Yeah. These people, he's like the glue for this whole fucking team in this franchise. And now they gave him the best send-off that you could ever want, and now all those same people are like, oh, it'd be cool for him to come back as an AI. Yeah, now that's a great way to turn the tide. I honestly don't leave people hating him and not wanting him back at all, just wishing, please kill him off.
I mean, I can see he could come back as an AI.
Would it be cool? Yeah, but does it need to happen? No.
It doesn't need to happen. I don't really see it happening. I feel like a lot of people, when they play a character for so long, they get tired of it and they're like, okay, that's it. And
I felt that Robert Downey Jr., definitely. Now, what's his name? Chris Evans, very much so, was tired of playing the character.
Well,
I feel
also,
like Robert Downey Jr. was very much so invested and loved everything about playing Iron Man.
It revitalized his career.
Yeah.
But
especially after what I think, didn't he have the little drug situation before
that?
Yeah,
he had a lot of things going on. He was kind of written off, and they took a risk.
Mm-hmm. And how well did that risk pay off?
It paid off. But
I was about gambling.
But Chris Evans never wanted to be
in such a juggernaut property.
No, he never wanted to be a superstar. He always wanted to do his little small films, and so I don't think he cares for celebrity. I don't think he cares for any of that. And I mean, these films have changed his life, you know. But I
mean, that's his prerogative.
But a lot. I mean, there are a lot of people. There are a lot of people that have turned down roles for Marvel for the simple fact that they didn't want to be in a blockbuster, and which I can understand. But hey, if you are listening, I will take a role. I will be in the background.
Singing child. I will sweep if you need me to in the background.
Please. I will do anything to be. I would love to work for Disney. I would love to work for like Apple. I would love to work because I mean I worked for Apple customer service, and I mean like actually like
in the trenches,
like there like for the like I would love to be on one of their streaming shows for the streaming service. Let me do something. I so badly want to be a voice actor. I need to figure out how to do it.
I wonder if there is a way to get into that real easy.
I actually was like looking up videos. Like there are people who have videos on YouTube on like how to become a voice actor.
Really?
Yeah. So I haven't really watched one yet, but I think I will just to see what it says.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we live in the right area. I mean, to be able to just take a quick trip to California and be like, hey.
What's up, bitch? But I just said all that about Kevin Feige because that was just very much so an excitement and but how is this going to work? But I mean, with what you said, I didn't even think about the fact that, like you said,
Bob
Iger being the head over Disney, Marvel, Pixar, Star Wars,
Fox.
Yeah.
I mean,
so it does make me feel better about it, but that was just my original reaction.
Yeah. Like,
is he gonna be okay?
I think he'll be fine. He's got money.
But that was my last story that I had. I just had those two because those are the only things that really captured my attention this week.
Well, I feel like we had a good conversation even with those few topics. I feel like we still have a long show. I mean, it's not showing the time, but I'm sure it's about close to 2 hours still.
Those seconds?
No, they're bars.
At the top, like the tutu, whatever the fuck.
Yeah, those are bars.
Oh, okay. Well, do you have anything else to say before we go?
No.
You want to talk about Kylie Jenner and her rise and shine? That was, I think, the main thing, which is why I didn't see anything else this fucking week. They were talking about that.
I follow a vocal coach on YouTube, and he's reviewing
or singing that.
The thing is, the title of it is like reviewing the 3 seconds of. Let me look at the actual title because
that is fucking crazy to me.
I mean, but also you got to see how many views this video has. Okay, this video has 12,000 views. Okay, voice teacher overanalyzes Kylie Jenner singing 3 words.
I'm glad he posted overanalyzes because that is an overanalyzation.
And this is a 2 minute and 13-second video. But so I haven't watched it.
It's so crazy to me because like when I was telling you the other day, we talked about this, and I was just like, this must have been a week. I mean, I guess it is because you didn't find a story that you really cared about talking about. I only had 2. And
anything going on because of all the political stuff.
Yeah, there wasn't much going on, and I think this must just have been that thing that took people out of reality for a second.
They needed to get away from all the Trump stuff.
Because I was just like, her saying rise and shine to her baby was not that big of a... And the thing is, it wasn't even funny to me. But the thing is, when you keep seeing these memes popping off, it has become such a comedy thing. Like, now I can't hear it without laughing. It's
like anything becomes a meme. Like, the thing is because, there's so many people that are trying to make memes. But the thing is that it's the things that you never would expect to become a meme becomes memes.
Mm-hmm. Because that was really something. Again, I still don't even know what that came from. I don't know what she was recording or filming for. Because it definitely didn't look like Keeping Up with the Kardashians. They don't talk to the camera like that. So I didn't know what that came from for her to walk into the room.
Some type of, it could be E or something, like something like that, where they follow you around. They be like,
Cribs
okay, yeah.
Do you still have Cribs?
Not that I know of. I used to love Cribs though. I remember.
I can only remember Mariah Carey when she's fucking on that treadmill in her heels. Is it a treadmill or elliptical? One of the two. She's in her heels. And
I think she was on an elliptical. I think, but the one that I remember the most from Cribs is Destiny's Child.
I don't remember that one at all. I don't
because
think.
they were driving around their little car. And
they hoopty. I'm sorry, it was not a hoopty.
It was like a drop top. I can't remember what kind it was. But they had got to the house, and Beyonce had this room that was very like Arabian themed, like her bedroom. And so she was in there belly dancing, and like this is back when.
And then she did.
They were like 20.
That song with Shakira. What the fuck is it called?
Oh, Beautiful Liar.
Yeah.
But they were like 20.
I was about to call it Don't Tell No
19,
Lies.
Don't tell no lies. My hips don't tell no lies. But yeah, they had to be like 19 or 20. So they were really goofy and it was just silly. It was like, but just the idea of all three of them living in a house together, I didn't really believe it.
I was going to say, I don't even believe it myself. I was going to ask you when you were saying it, like, do you even believe they were in the house together?
I do not believe that they were living together.
I think they just bought a house.
And it was like, okay, we're going to show it. And that probably wasn't even their house.
Ran up in somebody else's house in the neighborhood.
I truly don't believe it at all that they were living together. I mean, it could have been, but I wouldn't see for what reason. All y'all had money.
Yeah. Like I just had to shack up together to save a coin.
Right. Whatever.
But yeah, that was the last thing I was even thinking about with Kylie Jenner. And it was mainly because the funniest part to me was the one where they had put Jasmine Masters over her voice. So she was like, wake the fuck up.
The fuck up. Just like, no. Please don't wake your baby up like that.
There was also one that they have of where, this was an actual clip from Stormi. I think Stormi had, there was a part in the show or something, or a thing on her Instagram, whatever it was, where she was like, mommy, bitch.
Did she say that? Oh my God.
So that was like a few weeks or a month ago or so. But in the clip they had played, she comes in and she says, rise and shine. And then somebody's like, mommy, bitch. But yeah, that was all. So hopefully this coming week has some shit to actually discuss. I mean, I enjoy talking about the James Strauss thing and Kevin Feige, but I hope there's actually more things to discuss because I don't really care to be dealing with looking at Trump all motherfucking day. But
I am getting sick of hearing about Trump, and I'm getting sick of reading his stupid tweets. It's just getting, please impeach this man. Get him out of here.
Whatever way you need to get him out of there. Get him out of there. Now, I'm not saying that he needs to be taken out. But if you so choose to do so, I won't say I'm against it. Okay? But you didn't hear that from me. Don't go spreading that rumor. All I said was find a way to get him out.
It's getting ridiculous. And that he feels so self-righteous in his acts that just bothers me so much. He is truly a sociopath.
I've subscribed to this channel just really quick so we can go. I subscribed to this channel called the Infographic channel or something like that. Infographic News, whatever it's called. They give you a lot of these very informative things to discuss. And it's not not celebrity things or anything like that. It's about like actual things. Like they've been discussing how life is in North Korea, which is what made me originally subscribe to them. Okay. They do it with these like infographics. The first one that I watched was about how the economic system and the levels of it is in North Korea. And then the next one I started watching was, North Korea doesn't have access to internet outside of what's in North Korea.
Yeah, no, yeah.
So there are 26 websites you can go to in North Korea. That is literally it. That's all you have in North Korea.
Oh, God.
And so they went through the top 10 that they found. However they found a way to get up in there, they found a way.
I'm sure there's no porn.
I don't know. I didn't get through the whole video.
I'm sure there's not. If there's 26 websites, there ain't no porn. You know how many porn sites there are?
Yeah. So there was a lot, I got through 4 of them. Like I got to number 6, and then I had stopped because you sent me that video of girlfriends talking to Charlamagne. I was like, let me tell you what's more important.
That was a great video.
A lot of it, the common thread is it's very much so, because we already know it's a dictatorship, but you don't realize until you hear, I'll send you the 2 videos. You don't realize how much so until you hear shit like, in the first one I watched, if you are put into the military, you're second job is if something needs to be constructed, like if there needs to be construction work done, you have to do it. You don't get paid for this. This is your job and you have to do it. It's essentially slavery. So like whatever comes with that, or like you're risking your life because you don't really know how to do this. You're just expected to do so. So be it. And the other one is, there are websites where it is literally it just showcases people smiling and being happy and being so in love with, is it Kim Jong-un or Kim Jong-il, whatever it is, being so in love with him and saying things like he's such a righteous leader and he's just such a thoughtful leader and he loves us. And then there's one where he comes into he goes into this woman's house or something and he's like talking to her. And she was like, oh, no other leader does this. No other leader comes and talks to the lower level people. And just like this kind of shit to paint him as this great man, even though when you go outside and you see things are not like that. But then you watch this website on the internet that's like singing his praises. And of course, it's very much so obvious that he made these.
Really? But it makes me think of that movie, The Interview. Have you seen it? Mm-mm.
I wanted to watch it because I remember the hoopla that happened about it.
Yeah, because he was mad.
Yeah,
he was very mad. But it's actually pretty good. It may still be on Netflix, and then it may not.
I remember that for a minute they took it off. I remember seeing it for a while. Then I saw the story about it and how we got snatched off of Netflix because he was so mad and other shit.
Yeah, he was livid. But
I feel like
it was very, very true. As far as like who he was, and the dude that got to play him looked so much like him. But but like very much, he tried to make it seem like North Korea is this great place.
Even those websites did that. The ones that I saw them talking about were very much so. North Korea is the best country in the world, and nobody else is like us. Nobody else can be us. But then there was this one.
Nobody else is like y'all.
There was another. The first one that I watched, they were discussing how you can't even call outside of North Korea. You have to, like, the people that want to call or discuss things with people outside of, like, in China and the North border or South Korea and the South border, you have to go all the way to the outskirts of that for your phone to even pick up the reception that's in South Korea to make that call. Or the one picking up reception in California, in China to make that call.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you get caught, you will get shot. You will die from it.
I guess you gotta see how much that phone call is worth.
And so what a lot of people will do, like the defectors is what they call them, if they leave and they want to send money back to somebody they know in North Korea, it is so much that you have to do to get this money to go back. Like, you have to first get out of the country, and usually to get out of the country, like, let's say you want to go to South Korea, you have to go up. You have to get into a bus, and of course, a lot of stuff that happens there is done through bribery. So you have to bribe whoever and pay whatever to get out of North Korea. They have to go through China. Then through China, they have to go through. Or no, I don't think it's not through China. You have to go through whatever countries are outside of that, like on the side of them. They go through those and then make their way to China to then get into South Korea. It's a lot of shit you have to go through so much. Like, I'm gonna send you the video.
This is the Underground Railroad.
It really is. I got to do so much because. Another thing, again, real quick, is that because there's like 3 levels of economics for the economic system there, and usually is very tough if you get out of it at all, to get out of the status that you're in. And something that really bothered me, or that kind of killed me, was if you're like, let's say you're in the middle, and you get caught having like a relationship or discussing things with somebody in the lower level, you get moved down to that lower level and you will not get back up. You just there. And lower level is very much very impoverished. You think we got some in poverty.
I think of the last Airbender when they went to Ba Sing Se.
Yes, child. Just like
that lower ring, child.
Can't climb out. But yeah, I just want to say that I'll send you the videos because I feel like it's very informative.
I'm very interested in seeing it.
I don't even know why it started popping. Actually, now that I said that, think because on the site they always show you things they think you'll be interested in based off of videos you've watched before. Yeah. And lately, I've been watching a lot of like what's at the bottom of the ocean or what's happening in space. What happens in these situations? It's very much so. I mean, as much as we talk about like pop culture here, that's not my all that I do. Like, for the most part, I don't watch a lot of stuff about that. I'm usually, if I'm on YouTube, I'm watching things like, another thing about the infographic show was they had a thing about like what would happen if you fell into, like in Terminator when he falls into that like vat of like what is it? Molten metal or whatever.
Oh yeah.
What happens if you would actually, you as a person would actually fall in there?
I don't want to know.
It's quite disgusting. It's not what you would think it is though. They were talking about, which I didn't even think about. You don't sink into molten metal. that is too dense. You sit on top and scorch all your nerve endings. And so, like, they had this whole little story about how you get hired into a warehouse, and once you're in this warehouse, the first day on the job, you and this coworker just had this fucking stupid idea to go reenact the scene. And so the dude gets on the little chain, and he's supposed to like do his thumbs up. Like, I've never seen Terminator, so he puts up his thumb right before he's supposed to hit the molten shit or whatever. Yeah. But he lets go of the chain with one hand to do the thumb. He realizes, oh, I can't hold on to this. And so he falls. And like the thing that's discussed is like you're gonna be dead in like a really few seconds. Yeah. And so he has to break down like what will be happening in these like nanoseconds as you're falling towards this molten metal. Yeah. And he's like, by the time you get down to the molten level, your skin would have already been seared.
That's why when they show things in movies of people being by lava, and I'm like, just by being close to it, you would have been burning. I don't know why. Like, people could be just standing right over it. It's like, what is this? Like, that's not possible.
But I don't remember everything he said, but I know that by the time you get there, your shirt. He said that the heat, depending on like the burning point of or the smoke point of your clothing or the material that make up your clothing, your clothing could be fine, but your skin will not last. So your skin will have been started melting and all this kind of shit. And then they said that you probably will be knocked out and have a concussion when you first hit the metal, because he said it's so dense that they made it seem like you could just sneak into it, but no, you cannot. He said you would hit it, and you're gonna clink your damn head. It's so hard.
That's why I love those videos that we watch where they compare what happens in the movie to actual science.
Yes, I do like those too. And he said you hit that, your hair would get clinked, and you probably get a concussion. If you don't get knocked out, he said all your nerve endings will burn because you're on such hot metal. And he said the best thing for you to do if you have the thought process is to turn over and let the rest of them burn off, because as you don't feel anything on your back, but your front is still scorched. Yeah, it's in pain. It's like probably best if you just flip over.
Feel all the nerves.
Yeah, he said, but your brain probably won't process to even do that because it's so hot that things are melting in there, and like the smoke and everything and the heat is making your brain like fry. And said, and that pressure is gonna have to be released somewhere, and what's gonna be released is your eyeball, and the eyeball's gonna pop out your head.
Oh my god!
Whole situation. But anyway. So that's the end of this podcast. I want to leave y'all with that thoughtful.
Just think about your eyeballs popping out the skull.
So don't try that, bitch. But anyway.
Who can try that? It's Trump.
I don't want to say that he needs to get hired at a warehouse like that, but if somebody could go find him and put him in that warehouse. But anyway, again, lovely week talking to you gals. Go ahead and catch us next week when we hopefully have more topics to discuss. I mean, we still have shit to talk about. We are talkers. So so you guys have a great, lovely Saturday if we get posted, or Sunday, whenever you hear it.
It's Sunday now.
Go ahead and have your lovely Sunday. Bye.